Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I'm Tom Betts, your host. This is season 8, episode 3, number 133. Today we're going to talk about the history of the Spaghetti Western and Dynamite Jack. Whatever became of will be Gia Sandre. Who Are Those Gals will be Helga Liné. Film of the week is China 9, Liberty 37. I've got an autograph of the week, a book of the week. Don't have any posters, but I've got some ad bats. I've also got the LP CD of the week, which is China 9, Liberty 37. And then we'll wrap things up with the bi-weekly news. So let's get started, and we'll start with Dynamite Jack. Okay, we're familiar with such titles as Dynamite Joe in 66 with Rick Van Neuter, and there's Dynamite Jim in 66 also with Luis Davila, but this film preceded that. This is Dynamite Jack. This is a 61 French film production. The French title is Dynamite Jack, Les Terres de la Arizona, also called Les Démons de la Arizona. And the USA and international title is Dynamite Jack. The director is Jean Bastia, whose real name is Jean Simoni. Story is by Jack Ari. Screenplay is by Jacques Emmanuel, Jean Bastia, Jean Montz, and Jacques Ari. Cinematography is by Roger Hubert. It's an Eastman color. Music is by Pascal Bastia and Jean-Pierre Landru. It runs 103 minutes. The main actors in this, and the first one, Fernandel plays a double character in this. He plays Antoine Esperandu in Dynamite Jack. And then Sheriff Scotty is played by Lucien Rainberg. Pegine O'Brien is played by Adrienne Corey. Dolores is played by Eleanor Vargas. Sergeant Bob is played by Jess Hahn. And Luis de Le Bourgnet is played by George Lycan. The couple of other familiar names that came in later in the genre are Todd Martin shows up as Henry, and you'll recognize Donald O'Brien and Fortunato Arena. They both pop up in here. They don't have character names, but you'll see them on screen. The story goes Antoine Esperandu is played by Fernandel, a French tenderfoot, travels from France to the American West, hoping to make a fortune like his good friend Jules Levis. He lands in Windows Canyon, Arizona, a remote place under the thumb of dangerous outlaw Dynamite Jack, again played by Fernandel, only to discover the friend he was to meet there has been murdered. He finds Jules' grave with 7 widows gathered around. Seems Jules is one of the latest victims of the outlaw Dynamite Jack, who's been busy filling the graveyard. Worse, it's not long before Antoine realizes he is Jack's perfect doppelganger. Once that shock wears off, Antoine decides to stay in the town and tries his hand at mining. This he fails at. He's appointed tax collector by the local sheriff and appears on the verge of failing at that as well. Then he dons cowboy duds and a 6-shooter and suddenly finds local residents more than willing to turn over their taxes they owe. That's because they believe him to be Dynamite Jack. He's befriended by a local saloon owner named Dolores, played by Eleonora Vargas. The collected taxes are kept in the safe at the general store before they can be transferred to the county seat. Dynamite Jack and his gang steal them. At the same time, Antoine has left town and stops for the night at a rock house in the mountains. Unfortunately, it's the hideout of Jack. One of the best scenes in the film, Antoine is available to elude detection, retrieve the money, and heads back to town. A posse pursuing Jack, of course, mistakes Antoine for the outlaw and starts shooting at him and eventually capture him. Thinking he's Jack, they prepare to hang him, with Donald O'Brien placing the noose around his neck. Dolores shoots the rope and they escape back to town. When the two finally meet in a showdown, it's the Sheriff Scotty, played by Lucian Rainberg, who shoots Jack in a Liberty Valance moment. Okay, this is Fernandel was at the peak of his career by this time and one of the biggest comedians and film actors in France. We know that westerns were being made in Europe at this time, and most were either parodies or comedies. So Fernandel decided to make a western with one of the most used tricks, playing a double role of one good character and one bad character. Supposedly, it's a parody of Fernandel's The Terror of the Pampas, in which he starred in 1932. This was filmed near St. Antonin. A small western set was constructed of 27 permanent buildings. Most of them look like Spanish adobe buildings. One of the things, Jim Tamelkoff sent me a message today on Facebook this morning about the same fake cactus used repeatedly in Django and the Sartana films, and how they looked like they were made out of cardboard. I had to agree with him. I've even seen some of those Italian cactus blowing in the wind when a breeze starts up. But the cactus used here in Dynamite Jack are either real saguaro cactus or they're excellent uh, takeoffs. Okay? Fernandel said of the film, I played two characters at the same time, and moreover, in a Western, he confesses. It's the kind I would never have dared to think of. This project hadn't been proposed to my agent. Immediately, I was delighted to accept this role because I love Westerns. I had also met Gary Cooper before, whose films I had seen. In addition, I was so angry to see the Americans were going to shoot the film Marius without a single actor from Marseille that I decided to make an American Western without a single American. Apparently, he overlooked American born Jess Hahn, or by this time considered him a Frenchman. Filming took place from March 3rd, 61 to April 30th, 61 in Aix-en-Provence. The film attracted more than 2 million spectators and ranked 21st at the French box office in 1961. It's just available on French it's available on French DVD in French only, and German DVD in German and French. Okay, as far as the actor profiles go, Antoine Esperando and Dynamite Jack, played by Fernandel. He was born Fernand Joseph Desire Contandine in Marseille, France, on May 8, 1903. He was a producer, director, singer, film, and TV actor. His brother was the actor Fernandel, who was born in 1914 and died in 2012. Fernandel was married to Henriette Mas, who was born in 1902 and died in 1984. They were married from 1925 to 1971, and the father of actress-singer Josette Contandine, who was born in 1926. She died in 2017. Actor-singer Frank Fernandez, who was born in 35 and died in 2011, and Janine Contandine, born in 1930, died in 2020. He's the grandfather of actor and singer Vincent Fernandel, born in 1983. He had been a bank teller, but his work was impossible for him as all the customers burst out laughing when they saw his horse-like smile. He decided to put it to good use and became a music hall singer in Nice, France. Toured in a vaudeville show and was a pantomime comedian in Parisian music hall revues. His appearance in Les Blancs et les Noirs, which is white and black in English, in 1930, initiated a 40-year motion picture career that included more than 100 films, 7 of which were directed by the French master of comedy drama, Marcel Pagnol. Through the expressive use of his hands, homely face, and voice, he became one of the most beloved film stars in France. He appeared in 2 other Western-related films, The Terror of Pampas in 1932 as Billy Foster, and Ernest the Rebel in 1938 as Ernest Pye. Fernandel died in Paris from lung cancer on February 26, 1971, at the age of 67. The Sheriff Scotty is played by Lucien Raimberg. Lucien Pierre Raimberg was born in Villeneuve Saint Georges, Val de Marne, France, on September 14, 1903. He was a stage, film, TV, and voice actor and a veteran of over 120 film and TV roles. His cousin was the writer and actor Bourville. Real name was Andre Robert Raimberg, 1917 and 1970. He had worked in cabaret, music hall, the circus, and participated in reviews and performed as a chansonaire. But he was the best known for many supporting roles he played in films. He was married to pianist Elise Gruet, born in 1899, she died in 1985, and father of painter Claude Raimberg, who was born in 1935. He's still living. Lucien had previously appeared as Ben in 1958's musical Euro-Western Texas Serenade. He died after surgery on February 20th, 1973. Then we have Pegeen O'Brien, played by Adrienne Corey. She was born Adrienne Ricobini in Edinburgh, Scotland, on November 13th, 1930. She was a theater and film actress. She had two children with producer Patrick Filmer Sankey, but was married to actor Daniel Massey from 1933 to 1998, was when he was born and died. They were married from 61 to 67. Corey attended the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, or commonly called RADA, R-A-D-A, in London as a teenager, and then appeared in both the English and American stage. Probably her best memorable performance was in Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange in 71. She appeared in over 110 films and TV appearances from 1947 to 1992. Corey died in London from heart disease on March 13, 2016, at the age of 85. Dolores was played by Eleonora Vargas. Nationality unknown, suspected to be Spanish. She appeared in only 7 films between 1959 and 1973. She was also billed as Leonora Vargas. Her only other spaghetti western is in 1967's Seven Pistols for a Massacre as Judith. What became of her is unknown. Then we have Sergeant Bob, played by Jess Hahn. Jesse Burl Hahn was born in Terre Haute, Indiana on October 29, 1921. He stayed in France after World War II and became a fan favorite in films and television, making over 90 appearances. He made 4 other European westerns before retiring to his farm in the mid-1970s. Hahn died there in Saint Malo, France, on June 29, 1998, at the age of 76. We covered him before in depth in episode number 127. Last but not least is Louis Le Bourgogne, played by Georges Licon. Georges Licon was born in Francoul, France on May 8, 1924. He was a theater, film, TV, and voice actor who appeared in over 75 films and TV appearances from 1949 to 1998. His rough, tough appearance made him perfectly fit for thugs, gangsters, and outlaws. He had a long career as a voice dubber. Licon appeared in 4 other spaghetti westerns and is probably best remembered for his roles as Longfellow Wiley in 1966's The Tramplers with Joseph Cotten and Gordon Scott, and Red Sun in 1971 as one of Alain Delon's henchmen. Licon died in Paris on February 6, 2006, at the age of 81. We covered him before on episode number 114. Okay? Moving along, let's talk about whatever became of Gia Sandre. Okay. Professor Tony Williams asked me on Facebook if I knew whatever happened to actress Gia Sandre. Sure, no problem. I flipped to my database and started looking at what I had and found her real name and a complete birth date, but no death date. I had referenced that she was at one time married to director Richard Blasco. In researching him, I found information that named her as his second wife, but her name was spelled differently. I then began to check around the internet to see what I could find, and in doing so, began to question what I had previously found. I found different birth dates and conflicting information on her birth name. I went to my Ancestry.com account, but that turned up nothing. I put her name on Facebook and found amazingly that Peplum Paradise was also asking for biographical information starting in 2014. Now they look up, Now I look upon Nick Whale, who runs Peplum Paradise, an expert in Peplum films, and their participants. When I saw he had new information, I started to again question what I had. I decided to contact my friend Michael Ferguson in Toronto for help. I sent him an email with what I had and asked if he had anything on her. After a day, he got back to me and we were able to clarify what he had and have added some new information. This is what we came up with. Gia Sandre was born Maria Grazia Sandri Masterzanini on January 14th, 1938 in Rome, Italy. She is the younger sister of actress Anna Maria Sandri Masterzanini, born in 1935. As Gia Sandri, she had a short 6-year career from 1964 to 1970. In that time, she made 18 films, of which 8 were spaghetti westerns, starting with A Stranger in Sacramento in 1965, starring Mickey Hargitay, where she played a saloon girl. Her last spaghetti western was as Dora in 1968, Two Pistols and a Coward, starring Anthony Stephan, Richard Weiler, and Ken Wood. Her last film appearance was in a Franco Ciccio film, I due Magliolini Pio Matti del Mondo as Teresa. She then disappears. I can find no reference or information about her after that film. Sandri is probably best remembered role as Maruka in Tony Anthony's A Stranger in Town. A mistake Michael found was I credited Gia with an appearance in Die for a Dollar in Tucson from 1964, where she's credited as Grace. Here, she is supposedly credited with the alias Grace Maines. Michael told me that actress is usually credited as Sandre, but the real actress is Giselle Simone Sandre, Sandre, born in Paris, France, on September 7, 1941. Giselle appeared in 10 films from 1959 to 65. She is the actress who was the second wife of director Richard Balducci. They married in 63 but later divorced. What a can of worms, and 2 actresses working at the same time with similar names and internet material, confusing them also and giving false information. What's new? Once it's in print, it's hard to correct, and the mistakes are picked up by other writers and researchers, and it multiplies. I'll list Gia's complete spaghetti western filmography on both Facebook and YouTube when this episode is posted. Okay, that does it for Gia Sandre. We'll move along now to Who Are Those Girls? And Helga Liné. Okay, Helga Liné, it's spelled Line. As a gringo, that's spelled line. Like a line in the sand, a closed line, something like that. Or you might want to think, let's put an accent on this and pronounce it Liné. But Helga Liné Stern was born in Berlin, Germany on July 12, 1931. During the Nazi regime, she fled Germany at a young age with her family and took refuge in Portugal. At the age of just 9, she made her first film appearance there in the film Porto de Abrigo. Helga was an acrobat and contortionist in circus performances in Portugal throughout the 1940s, and as a dancer in touring vaudeville shows later. She became a model after that. Excuse me. In the 1950s, she made further film appearances, but her career took off after she moved to Madrid, Spain in 1960. From this point, the red-headed actress made many appearances in the 1960s, particularly in horror and action films. She also starred in peplums and spaghetti westerns and giallo films, but Liné is best known for her horror film work. She appeared opposite Barbara Steele in Nightmare Castle in '65 and then starred as the spy Natasha in the gothic feature Horror Express in 1972. And then starred, in the title role of Lorelei's Grasp, also known as When the Screaming Stops in '73, as a vampire countess in the erotic film The Vampire's Night Orgy in '73, and as the leader of a satanic cult in Black Candles in '82. She also starred opposite Spanish horror actor Paul Naschy in Horror Rises from the Tomb and in The Mummy's Revenge in '73, and appeared in the 1974 film with Peter Fonda called Open Season. Later, Liné would go on to work with Pedro Almodovar in films such as Labyrinth of Passion in '82 and Law of Desire in '86. Helga also took part in the popular Spanish TV series Verano Azul in the early '80s as a supporting secondary character. She has appeared in 130 films and TV shows. After her acting career ended, she worked as a choreographer. And most data sites give her birth as 1832, but according to an interview, she gave her October 2018 to a Spanish paper, La Vanguardia, as being born in 1931. I would read a script and say, okay. A 15-minute documentary on her life entitled La Dama del Terror was shown at the Sitges Film Festival in 2016. Okay, I'll post a list of her filmography in both Facebook and on YouTube when we post this episode. Okay, moving on. It's the film of the week, and that's China 9, Liberty 37. Okay, China 9, Liberty 37 was a 1978 Italian Spanish film co production. Uh, Director was Monty Hellman. Story was by Ennio DiConcini. Screenplay was by Ennio DiConcini, Don Vicente Escriva, Jerry Harvey, and Douglas Venturelli. Cinematography was by Giuseppe Rotuno. It's in Technicolor and Technoscope. Music is by the great Pino Donaggio. The main theme song, China 9 Love Ballad, is sung by Ronnie Blakely. The film runs 92 minutes. Uh, the Italian title is Amore Piombo y Furor. Spanish title is Los Pistoleros. Also, Clayton Drum is the Spanish title. The UK title is Clayton and Catherine. Canadian title is Love, Bullets, and Frenzy, which could be a video title. USA title on video is Gunfire and was released in the theaters as China 9, Liberty 37. Main actors are Matthew Sebenek, played by Warren Oates. Clayton Drum or Braun is played by Fabio Testi. Catherine Sebenek is played by Jenny Agutter. And Wilbur Olson is played by Sam Peckinpah. Some other names of the genre that appear are Duke is played by Charlie Bravo. Zeb is played by Romano Pupo. Williams is played by Luis Prendes. And Cottrell's wife is played by Helga Liné. Story goes a hired gun named Clayton Drum, played by Fabio Testi, is set to hang when he is given a last minute chance to escape the gallows if he agrees to do a job for a railroad company. A homesteader named Matthew Sebenek, played by Warren Oates, has refused to sell his land to the company, which has caused a major problem. Clayton readily accepts the proposition and heads for the Sebenek ranch. He meets Matthew and his beautiful young wife, Catherine, played by Jenny Agutter. Catherine immediately is drawn to Drum and falls in love with him, complicating matters. Clayton also becomes friends with Matthew, but lust takes over, and Catherine and Clayton eventually make love. When Matthew finds out, he beats Catherine, who during the fight thinks she has killed Matthew and runs off with Drum. Sebenek recovers and asks his brothers to help him track down Clayton and Catherine. The railroad discovers that Clayton has double crossed them and decides to eliminate everyone who stands in their way. Clayton returns with Catherine to help Matthew fight off the railroad's hired killers. Okay, this film is similar to plot of Once Upon a Time in the West, where a noted gunman is hired by a railroad magnate to remove obstacles in his path so he can build his railroad line. Here we find the gunman captivated by his prey and turns against his employers. We also see a similar comparison of a veteran actor, Oates, who is mostly associated with his participation in westerns, similar, similar to Henry Fonda in Once Upon a Time in the West. Jenny Agutter is the Claudia Cardinale equivalent, and Testi is the Bronson equivalent. The title emphasized the fact that Sebenek and his ranch, located outside the town of Liberty, are situated in the middle of nowhere. Ends up being a buddy film as Clayton and Matthew become fast friends, but tension arises with the presence of Matthew's young wife, Catherine, who is infatuated with the younger, handsome gunman. Lust takes over both Catherine and Clayton, but in the end, they realize they must stand by Matthew against the evil railroad men and their hired guns. Sam Peckinpah has almost a cameo role as a newspaperman who's inserted more as a publicity stunt than a vital cog in the story. I want to thank John Hoffs of Treasure House Books and Gifts, who I contacted because he has a copy of the book of Oates' biography called Warren Oates, A Wild Life. We were able to piece together why Peckinpah was in this movie. I always thought because it was his connection to Warren Oates, but in reading it, John said no, it was a connection with Monty Hellman who brought him into the film. So that's where the connection of Peckinpah is to the film. As far as actor profiles go, Matthew Sebenek was played by Warren Oates. Warren Mercer Oates was born in DePoy, Kentucky on July 5th, 1928. He was a stuntman, film, and TV actor. He was best known for his performances in several films directed by Sam Peckinpah, including Ride the Wild Country in 62, Major Dundee in 65, The Wild Bunch in 69, and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia in 74. He starred in numerous films during the early 1970s, which have since achieved cult status, including The Hired Hand in 71, Two Lane Blacktop in 71, and Race with the Devil in 75. Though he never became a marquee name, Warren Oates continues to influence actors like Billy Bob Thornton and Benicio del Toro, as well as directors such as Quentin Tarantino. He appeared in one other Western filmed in Spain, 1966's Return of the Magnificent Seven, as Colby. Oates died of a heart attack in Los Angeles on April 3rd, 1982. He was only 53. Clayton Drum, or Braun, was played by Fabio Testi. Fabio Testi was born in Pescia del Garda, Verona, Veneto, Italy on August 2nd, 1941. He entered films after growing up, seeing film work being done around Lake Garda where he lived, and began to work as a stuntman and double on several of these films and graduated to larger roles and eventually a major star of spaghetti westerns, appearing in 15 of them. He's been married twice and has 4 children. Today he owns the third largest kiwi farm in Italy. We previously covered him in episode number 105. Catherine Sebenek, or Jenny, was played by Jenny Agutter. Jennifer Ann Agutter, was born in Taunton, Somerset, England on December 20th, 1952. She's a theater, film, and TV actress and also a singer. She began her career as a child actress and has appeared in over 120 films and TV appearances. She's best known for her appearance in The Railway Children and Walkabout in 1971, and many appearances on stage with the Royal National Theatre. She's married to hotel magnate John C. Tham, He was born in 1944 and is still living. They married in 1990 and are still married. And they have a son, Jonathan. She received an Obie, or Order of British Empire, in 2012. This was her only Euro Western. We previously covered her in episode number 79. Last but not least, we have Wilbur Olson, played by Sam Peckinpah. David Peckinpah was born on February 21st, 1925, in Fresno, California. He's known as Bloody Sam and was an iconic American film director and screenwriter who is known for ultra-violent films but often lyrical. They explored issues of morality and identity. He has a huge cult following and was known for such films as Ride the High Country, Major E, The Wild Bunch, The Getaway, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, and Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, just to name a few. He died on December 28, 1984, in Inglewood, California, of a heart attack. He was 59. Okay, let's go to CD and LP of the week. Bear with me. Okay, China 9 Liberty 37 first came out on an LP from Italy in 1978. It was on the Cinevox label, number MDF 33-123. This is a look of it. European LPs were a disappointment to many of us. Yeah, they had the music, but there was no information on them about the composers, which we were really looking for. This LP contains 13 tracks. It has a listening time of 30 minutes and 31 seconds. Its value is around $30. Then a CD came out in 1992 from Belgium. Excuse me. This is on the Atheist label, number PCS 117, has 16 tracks of music with a listening time of 38 minutes and 26 seconds, and it's valued at $20. The CDs are a little bit better for us because they come usually with these booklets, and the booklets contain quite a bit of information on the film and the composers. Okay, the composer was Pino Donaggio. He was born Giuseppe Donaggio on November 24th, 1941, in Burano, Veneto, Italy. He's an Italian musician, singer, composer of film and TV scores. He's a classically trained violinist. Donaggio is known for his collaborations with director Brian De Palma and for his work in both European and American genre cinema. He has won 2 Italian Golden Globe Awards and has been nominated for 2 David Di Donatello, 4 Golden Sciac, 2 Nastro d'Argento, and a Saturn Award. His first film was the British-Italian horror film Don't Look Now. Since then, he has composed music for many films, including Dario Argento's Two Evil Eyes, Trauma, Do You Like Hitchcock? He also composed scores for several horror films, including Piranha, Tourist Trap, The Howling, The Black Cat, and Seed of Chucky. He works regularly with director Brian De Palma, scoring De Palma's Carrie, Home Movies, Dress to Kill, Blowout, Body Double, Raising Cain, and Passion. His greatest hit was a 1965 hit, Io Che Non Vivo, which sold 80 million records worldwide and was performed most popularly in English as You Don't Have to Say You Love Me by Dusty Springfield and Elvis Presley. In 2012, he was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award from the World Soundtrack Academy. Donaggio's other Euro Western scores are Rustler's Rhapsody in 84, Oblivion in 93, and Backlash Oblivion 2 in 94, Troublemakers with Hill and Spencer in 94, and Il Mio West, also known as Gunslinger's Revenge, in 1998. Luckily, I was able to meet him at the reception for Ennio Morricone in Glendale, California in 1994. Okay, let's move on to Autograph of the Week. Okay, autograph of the week is from the Don Bruce collection, and this is Craig Hill. When Don passed away, we were able to buy and acquire many of his autographs and posters, pictures from the movies collected over the years. So I got that from Don. Okay, book of the week. Okay, looking for information on Dynamite Jack, I came across a movie novelization of Dynamite Jack from France. This is from the authors Gia Sandre and Jacques Zeri. It came out in 1961 by Edition France Empire. It has 267 pages. It's in French, and as most French books are, or European books, the pages aren't cut. Okay, it's not in great condition, but a rarity as far as I'm concerned. And you can still find it available online. So if you're looking for a copy, it's not too expensive to add for your movie tie-ins. Okay, how about Tom's poster attic, and we'll show you some European ad mats. Okay, first up is a French ad mat. This is sort of clever as the frame opens up and shows the picture on the inside. And again, it unfolds to show an actors on the back. And then I've got a Danish press kit. And again, a poster on the back and pictures for the newspapers. Okay. I've also got a tear out page from Whitey when this came out, caught my attention. Clayton Drum, Clayton and Catherine, which is the British. And last but not least, I've got an American medal poster for China 9, Liberty 37. Okay, how about wrapping things up with the bye-weeks of the week? Okay, first up is a new Italian biography release called Il Genio, il Padre, which is the genius, the man, the father, by authors Marco Morricone, Valerio Coelho, and Aldo Cozzullo. It's published by Sperling and Kupfer. It's in Italian and contains 272 pages. Is released on June 4th. This is a biography of Ennio Morricone, uh, basically written by his son or one of his sons. And then there's also a new U.S. book release, The Films of Jesus Franco, 1953 to 1966, by authors Francesco Cesari and Roberto Curti. Published by McFarland, it's in English and contains 381 pages. This was released on June 6th. So if you're a Jesus Franco film, pick this up. Remember, he did do a couple of spaghetti westerns. They should be in the book. Then we have a new Kindle book for a few dollars more, where Spain staged the spaghetti western, by author Terence Denman. This is in English, contains 122 pages, and this was released on June 3rd. Okay, then there's a new 60th anniversary edition CD of Le Pistole Non Discutono, Bullets Don't Argue. Came out in 64 by composer Ennio Morricone. The film was directed by Mario Cano and starred Rod Cameron, Horst Frank, and Angel Aranda, and Vivi Bach. It's on the Beat label, number BCM 961. It contains 17 tracks with a listing time of 41 minutes and 45 seconds. This was released on June 15th, which is today. basically a reissue of the 2017 CD. Then we have a new Italian DVD release of I Sette del Gruppo Salvaggio, which is Seven Devils on Horseback, came out in 75. It's directed by Gia, stars Dino Strano, Mario Brega, Gordon Mitchell, and Femi Benusi. This was released on the Oblivion Grindhouse label, number OGH32. It was released on June 6th. It's a Region 2 and supposedly an uncut version, but it only runs 80 minutes, so take it from there. Supposedly remastered from analog sources. It's in Italian with no subtitles. And last but not least, we have a German DV of Tal der Hoffnung, which is Nevada Clint, Clint the Loner, George Martin, Mariana Koch, Walter Barnes, and Paolo Gaslino. This was released on the Mr. Banker Films Cargo Records label on June. It's in PAL, anamorphic, widescreen with Dolby Digital 2.0 mono, German and English languages with German and English subtitles for the missing parts. It runs 88 minutes, has two different cover options featuring all. It's limited to 500 copies each. Extras include a slipcase, leaflet, trailer, and gallery. Sorry to say, we have two new entries in the Boot Hill section. First one is French actor Philippe Leroy. He died in Rome on June 1st. He was 93. He's a veteran of close to 200 films and TV appearances. He was born in Paris on October 15th, 1930. He was the year aristocratic family behind him. Disdainful of his title of Marquis, at the age of 17, he embarked as a cabin boy on a ship to America. He then joined the Foreign Legion and went to fight in Indochina and Algeria, and also enlisted as a paratrooper. He returned from Algeria highly decorated, but decided to abandon his military career and find a job. He worked in a circus, he worked with horses, and as a navigator on offshore boats. A relative opened the way for him into the cinema, and his acting career began with director Jacques Becker. Struck by his lean physique and by the air of someone who has seen danger up close and knows weapons, he cast him in the film The Hole in 1960, in the part of a prisoner who tries to escape from a prison, a criminal, but 1971 television, an instrument of popular consensus, offered him the second turning point in his career, as he's remembered for his role of the bishop alongside Terence Hill, 7 episodes of which aired on REI 1 in 2008 and 2009. Leroy also appeared in 3 spaghetti westerns: Yankee in 1966 as Yankee, Panhandle Caliber 38 in 1971 as General Brisket, and A Man Called Blade in 1977 as Edward M. Then we had passing away this week, musician, writer, actress Francoise Hardy. She died on June 11th, 2024 in Paris from cancer. She was 80. Born Francoise Madeleine Hardy in Paris on January 17th, 1944. She began her career at 18 in 62 with a first appearance on French TV. She was immediately successful and became an icon of the Yeye period in France, but soon developed her own peculiar style. She sang mainly in French, but also to continue writing, composing, and singing with various composers and musicians. In 1981, she married the French singer Jacques Dutronc. In 1981, they previously had a son, Thomas, in 73. Hardy appeared in 2 Euro westerns, A Fistful of Songs, and the TV movie The Man Who Can't Share, as Suzanne, where she sang Como te der adios. Okay, Francois had been sick for a couple of years. I remember back in December, I think, of 2020, she went before Parliament and asked if she could be serviced by a French medical doctor who would assist her in committing suicide, and they denied that request. So I've been looking for a bit on her for quite a while. So she must have suffered quite a bit over the last 2 years. Anyways, that'll do it for the week on the trail. This has been a Roberto Genesi production. And until then, adios, amigos.